Sup, my Yu-Gi-Oh nerds? If you're watching this video, it is because you have made the decision that you want to get better at this game. Whether it's just to get better at locals so you're not always losing, or you really want to try, get some invites from regionals, maybe even get to worlds. So I am not the best player by any means, but I have gotten invites, and I usually stay in the top 30 at most regionals. I haven't dropped below that in over a year. So I do feel like I have some insight on how to get better at this game, at least to that level. Like past that, I know I can't teach you how to be Jesse Cotton. If I could, you'd be watching me and I'd have a lot more followers. But there are a few things I have learned, and after doing these things, I got better as a player, and I'm just going to share them with you. Hopefully you guys can get better playing as well. So, first off, everyone's heard practice makes perfect. That's wrong. Perfect practice makes perfect. What I mean by that is you can sit down and you can go fish your deck all day long, go through all your combo lines, but if you're doing it wrong, then you're going to do it wrong when it matters. So you have to make sure the lines you are running are legal. You're not misreading any of the cards. So that way when you do go home, and you go through, you start running all your lines, you're doing it correctly. That is a big thing. I've seen a lot of people, they'll show up to locals or even a regional, and they swear this is how their deck plays, but it's not. And they end up going home early because there was a couple things they missed. They had it in their head, a great idea, but it just didn't pan out, and they didn't think to check first. So what you want to do is you want to have your deck that you're comfortable with. Take it to a locals. Tell your friends, hey, look, I'm trying to get good with this deck. Help me out. Let's learn these lines. You can beat me, but we're going to go through this game, and you're going to show me where I'm doing wrong. And you're going to learn the deck, and then you're going to go home, and you're going to repeat that process again and again and again. 2, I said deck you're most comfortable with. That is important. That is so important that it's just unreal. I know it sounds stupid, but you can go online right now, look up Triff's topping, 3 YCS deck, and you can go to a store and play that, and you will lose. If you do not know why it plays that way and you're not confident in how it plays, and just because it won and you know the basic combos, you're not going to win every time with it. You need to get really comfortable with the deck, comfortable with the play style, know how it goes. Again, practice, perfect practice, and you need to know that deck inside and out, even if it's not the top deck. You can take any of these great players. You give them a mid-range deck versus a new person with the best deck, they're going to win. That best deck doesn't do anything if the person doesn't know how to pilot it perfectly. Just because they know a couple of the combos, don't mean shit. So you need to find something you're comfortable with so you can know, okay, I've been in this situation before. I've played this deck 100 times. When this happens, I need to do this. When this happens, I need to do this. This is something I can't get over. So, let's scoop it up because I know my deck can't do this or it won't be able to do it in time. So you need to have that comfortability to where you know your deck, what it's going to do, when it's going to do it, if it can do it. I've seen a lot of people, they will be there game 2 and they will just grind it out because they do know they have an out, but they have to top deck the out. They don't have a way of getting to the out specifically. And then they end up losing time when they should have just scooped, gone first, had a whole lot better chance of winning. 3, you need to be prepared. I know, again, like super easy stuff. You need to have your pen and paper. I always suggest pen and paper. Some places let you use the Neuron, but Judge will always default to the pen and paper. And do this at your locals. Again, perfect practice makes perfect. So when you're going through it, okay, write down, okay, I took this much, you took this much. Make sure you're keeping track of both people's life points. If they have a calculator, just let them do it, but make sure you're doing it too. Having your tokens ready, making sure you have a token. If you play Nib, make sure you have a token for Nib, because if you're like, okay, will you use your token or will you use my token, that wastes time. Now time is a huge thing, even bigger than before. You don't want that double loss. So make sure you have your tokens, everything ready to go. Make sure you have your side deck ready. And what I mean by that is you want to have, okay, my playset of this, playset of this, playset of this. Just so you know where it's at. So when you have to side, you can do it quickly. Again, saving time, being comfortable with your deck. You know where everything is. Everything just feels good when you're getting into it. It helps so much. Fourth, hero envy. Get rid of it. You can see all these guys. You watch the YouTube channels. Sam, Cali Effect, Puck, Jesse, Triff. Yeah, they are great players. They are great players, but they can be beaten, and they have been beaten. I played a match against Puck, and he ended up scooping against me. I just made a board that he couldn't break. You know, I'm not saying I'm better than him, but he was comfortable with his deck. You know, he couldn't break it. I made a deck so good, I played around his hand traps. I did everything I was supposed to do because I felt comfortable. Like I said, I'm not saying I'm better than him, but, you know, I beat him in a game. I've got friends. They beat Sam, Team Samurai, and, you know, he's good. He's not the best, but he is really good. Like, he's got a channel, and he's gotten YCS tops for reasons. Cali Effect. I beat him. I 2-0'd him in like 15 minutes. And he was my game 1 at regional down in Vegas. And he probably should have beat me. You know, I had a pretty good lucky hand. But I also didn't let that get in my head. I did not think, okay, this guy is better than me. You need to be a little bit arrogant to get better. I know that sounds a little bit counterproductive, but you need arrogance. You need to know that you can win. You need to believe that you can win. If you're sitting there freaking out, okay, this guy is just going to have the outs because he's so good. He doesn't. He might have the outs, but it's not because he's good. Yeah. I know I said it seems kind of counterproductive to think you're better than everyone, but you need that. You need that motivation in your head. You need that little thing saying, okay, like, I have done this. I have practiced this. This deck I am super comfortable with. I can do this and I can win. As long as I do what I'm supposed to do, I'm going to win. And fifth thing, this is probably the most important, especially if you're trying to get good. This will help you with just about any deck. And then once you get into the higher tier decks, this is where it's going to help out a lot. You need to learn your opponent's decks. If you can do this, great. What I do is I will make the deck I'm going to play against the most, like Draco Tail, Yummies. You know, I'm going to build those decks and play with those, but I also like to play with those so I learn what this deck does. So, if I play Yummy a few times, I learn the main combos and stuff like that, I can see where the choke points are, right? And you don't have to, you know, be in depth. If you can, great. If you can learn these decks inside and out and play them just as good as you're playing with your own deck, that's even better. But you need to find the choke points, and the best way to do that is play it. Play your lines. Go through it. Take it to locals a few times. Take it to your buddy's house and just play it. Say, okay, you know, I'm playing Mitsurugi, but I'm going to face a lot of Yummy. I know that, so I need to learn the Yummy cards. Where is my choke point? What do I need to do to stop them? If I am playing and say, okay, man, it would suck if I get ashed right here. It would suck if they just had this card right here. Okay, you need to remember that. You remember, okay, if I can stop this point here, you know, he has to have the out, because sometimes they do. If not, this is going to be a big hit to his board. If I played this card at this point, it screwed me over when I got hit with that Imperm. It screwed me over when I got hit with that Ash at this point. I need to remember that. So you get comfortable with your deck, and you know what your opponent deck does. You're not just throwing Ash out there. You're not just throwing hand traps at everything that happens. You can sit back and hold. Okay, if that goes through, what's going to happen? Is it going to affect me? Like, can I stop it later on? You know, if I hit this Ash, you know, what's it going to do? Like, they might not get that card. Okay, but he can still extend, so I need to make sure I'm hitting the extenders. I need to make sure I'm hitting the ones that set the trap that blows up my board. Learning your opponent's decks is a invaluable skill. So, you know, you could have just a hand trap deck, you know, rogue, versus a top deck, but you know exactly which interactions you need to stop and you're confident that you can do it, you're going to win those games. There's always you brick, they don't brick, they have God hand. You can't really do anything about it. But those 5 things, if you sit down, do those, it's what I did, you are going to do better. You're going to get better. And once you start winning a few games, that's when the mentality is also going to pop in. You're going to get a little arrogant, which I said it's a good thing. You don't need to be a dick about it. But know you can win helps out so much. There's people I played against for years, and they have beaten me so bad, and now I beat them more often than they beat me. Just because I put in the work, I put in the time, I learned their decks, and it's good. It's good practice if you go to a locals, even though those decks aren't going to be represented at your regional. Learn those decks. Learn the choke points. Learn what they do, because sometimes they become relevant. Or it's just good practice, for doing the real thing. If I practice like I play, perfect practice makes perfect. When it comes down to the real shit, you're just going to do better. So hopefully these help you. And if you have any other suggestions for people trying to get better, leave a comment.